I think the first thing we need to do is explain the title of this particular podcast. Are you a monkey?
Mm.
You know, around 15 years ago, I was going through a period of self-discovery and trying to find myself. I went through a really bad patch in life. I'd lost my business, and you know, a lot of things had gone wrong in traditional terms. You could argue that that was the right thing to have happened to me at the time, but
Yes.
at the time, I didn't realize, you know, where I was in life. So I was watching this lecture, and I was doing a lot of research on self-discovery, finding yourself, and who are you as an individual, because that was one of the most important questions of life, isn't it? Who are we? Why are we even here? Anyway, I came across this lecture by somebody called Dr. Yasser Fazaga, and he was explaining this concept, and he narrated this particular story, which is something which I also do now, and I have done for a number of years, especially when I'm invited to deliver a keynote speech on a particular subject such as success. So those people who've attended many of my speeches and heard me talk about success and success on your own terms will have heard me speak on this or narrate this particular story. So what happened was, in the early 1900s, there's a group of social scientists who conducted this experiment.
Okay.
What they did was they got 10 monkeys and put them into a room. Yeah. In the middle of the room, they set up a table and a ladder, and from on top of that ladder, from the ceiling, they hung down some bananas. Yeah. It was pretty straightforward.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You get on the ladder,
Yeah.
you get the bananas, right? It's not exactly rocket science, but what they didn't realize is these scientists, what they had done is they'd attached hose water, pipes full of ice cold water around the room. So every time, what happened was when a monkey would go up the ladder onto the table and try and grab a banana, they'd wash down all the monkeys. So not just the monkey who's going for the bananas, but all the monkeys around the ladder and in the room, they would all get washed down with it.
With cold water.
With cold water, yeah. So after a short while, once they've chilled out, the second monkey decided to try and do the same thing. So this monkey also went on the ladder, which was on the table, and tried to get the bananas, and guess what? Same thing happened again. He got washed down, and all the other monkeys in the room also got washed down. So they got the idea. They said, well, you know what?
We don't need these bananas.
These aren't our bananas. We're not supposed to be getting these bananas. Okay. So what happened was, the next day, what the monkeys hadn't realized, the scientists actually removed the hose waters. You know, the hoses with the water. They'd removed it from the room, but they didn't realize. They didn't realize that had happened. What they also did is they took one of the original monkeys out and put in a brand new monkey.
So this new monkey didn't know about the water.
No. So what this new monkey does, he gets up the ladder, and as soon as he starts to reach for the bananas, all the monkeys gang up, grab him, and beat the crap out of him because they don't want to get wet.
Poor guy, man.
Yeah. You can just imagine this monkey thinking, banana, I just want some bananas, These guys have gone bananas.
Yeah.
I just want some bananas. What do I do, So for the rest of the day, he was obviously battered and bruised, and he realized that I'm not going to get these bananas, because they kept giving him the daggers. And the monkeys didn't let him get the bananas either, because they didn't want to get wet, remembering what had happened in the previous day. The third day came along. What they did was they took out another one of the original monkeys and put in a brand new monkey who hadn't seen,
who was also
unaware of what's been going on. So this monkey, again, was getting up the ladder, goes for the bananas, and guess what happens?
Same thing
again. All the monkeys gang up and beat the crap out of him. And here's the funny thing. The monkey from the previous day, who was new, who hadn't seen what's going on, also joined in.
Beating the
new guy.
Oh, okay.
Right? He didn't know why he was beating him up, but he just realized that every time a monkey goes up, or anyone goes up to get the bananas, we've got to beat them up. And that was the done thing, right? So over the course of the 10 days, a new monkey had entered the room, and one of the existing monkeys, the original monkeys, was taken out. So over the course of 10 days, you had by the end of 10 days, you had brand new monkeys in there who'd never witnessed what happened on the first day, where all the monkeys who tried to go for the banana got washed down with the ice cold water. But since then, that water is no longer there, but they still saw a threat. But every single time a new monkey came in, tried to get a banana, the other monkeys would gang up and beat the crap out of him. Yeah. By the end of the 10 days, all the monkeys were brand new. None of them had witnessed what had happened on the first day, but none of them would get the bananas.
And none of them knew why.
Well, if you asked the monkeys if they could talk and you asked them, why do you not get the bananas, what do you think their response would be?
Are we talking Planet of the Apes?
Not them kind, but the reality is that this is where the question from the scientist comes along. Are you a monkey? This is where the phrase comes from, monkey see, monkey do. If they were to be able to speak, their response would generally be, it's just the way things are done around here. Just the norm.
Yeah, that's what we came into, and then we're now part of.
That's become the norm for them. So the question is, that same question could be posed to us: are we monkeys? Are we just doing what's the norm, surrounded by, looking around us by the society in general, the world in general? Are we just fitting in for the sake of fitting in, or do we actually indulge in any critical thinking? Look, Einstein, he was lecturing at a university, I think it was either Oxford or Cambridge, one of the two. And
obviously one of them.
Well, obviously one of the two.
Wasn't going to be Derby, was it?
You never know. Actually, Derby even existed at the time. But he was, in 1942, I believe, he gave his senior physics students a test. Okay, and the guy who was invigilating the exam with Einstein, and he said, is this not the same test you gave them last year? Exactly the same. And he says, well, yeah. And he goes, well, why? He says, well, the questions are the same, but the answers have changed.
I don't get it.
So within a year, although the questions
were the same as on paper,
the answers in physics had changed. There'd been new discoveries.
Okay.
So the question we have for ourselves is, because here's the thing, we don't, I believe, as a people, question enough. It's sometimes easy to just fall into autopilot. You can argue that's a safer way of living. It's easier way of surviving. But you could argue that on the opposite end of the scale, you're putting yourself amongst a crowd and there's nothing to distinguish you. From a business perspective, that's not good. From a personal perspective, that might be how you personally choose to live. So when we're blending in, is blending in the right thing to do? Is our thinking being led down a certain path? Is it okay for that to happen? Because that's what happens essentially when we stop thinking for ourselves and we're on this conveyor belt system. Then we rarely question things, and we place trust, don't we?
Well, you're not going to question, are you? Because you've entered a room. There's a way that things are done in there, and that's pretty much what you adapt to, isn't it? Is it good or is it not good? Depends on the result you're looking for, right? I mean, if you kind of want to go into a room, and I say room, but I mean, a field or sector or whatever, and you kind of want what everyone else has, you kind of do what everyone else does.
As if what everyone has, what you perceive for them to have.
Yeah.
It's a perception thing, isn't it?
This is it, yeah.
We have, obviously, when we think, there's the phrase, thinking outside the box, or thinking inside the box. When we're in the box, we create boundaries. If you think about the box, the edges of the box being boundaries, we create boundaries for ourselves, whether they're legal boundaries, whether they're physical, financial, industry norms. Within certain industry, you have norms, you have cultural norms. You can't do things beyond certain things because it's not culturally sound to do so. But it's interesting, isn't it? The word norms comes from normal. What's normal? But if you do what's normal, what makes you different?
Nothing.
And is that okay? Is the question. If you're okay with it, I suppose you're okay with it. But if you, for those people who indulge in critical thinking, they think from a business perspective, if you're blending in with the rest, then what makes you different? Let's think about marketing. Let's think about as a business person. Let's think about as a retail business even. If you're blending in with the rest, what's different about you? Why would people come to you? As an individual, if you're blending in with the rest, what does that actually mean? What does that blending look like, I suppose? If it means that someone's got an iPhone and I need to have the same iPhone, whether they can afford it or not.
See, this is where I'm going to call it monkey see, monkey do strategy almost. It works in certain parts of life and not so well in others. If you are, I don't know, amongst a group of friends, colleagues, join a Sunday League team or whatever, you're going to kind of want to blend in order to kind of be a part of it. You know, firstly, you want to be accepted. You want to be normal. Is normal the word? You know, so in your personal life, I can understand wanting to be the same as everyone. Business-wise, completely different. Because what do you want for your business? Obviously, success. How do you measure success? To kind of stand out, to offer something that everyone else isn't. That is harder to apply in personal life, isn't it?
Well, if you look at the basic human needs, whether it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or generally, if you look at basic human needs, the sense of belonging to a community is actually quite a high need. It's one of the core needs of a human being, the sense of belonging. That's what they say. So if we look at that from a personal perspective, from personal life, yes, I guess that's correct. But within your personal lives, within people's personal lives, what is it that prompts people to, let's just say, get the latest gadget or get a certain brand of clothing because of what's around them? Is it because of the environment? Look, they say you are a product of your company. Jim Rohn once says you become the result of the seven people who are
closest to you.
Yeah. So is it because of the company we keep or the company we choose to keep? What makes people, follow the crowd rather than think independently?
So here's a question. I didn't say
You did it. You did it.
Got my own twist on it. The 7 people closest to you. You're a product of that, right? Let's take an instance, this new monkey coming in to the room now. At some point, something's happened, which has obviously started this behavior. Yeah? Once that incident, that scenario is long gone, is there going to be like a major shift, a change in that behavior, or does it stay fairly constant? We can't say never, because I'm trying to think of like my own group of friends and stuff now.
Give me an example. I'm kind of trying to understand what you're asking here. Well, you've got a new monkey coming into the room.
You've got the new monkey coming into the room.
The life is normal, yeah?
We're 10 days
in.
Yeah. 10 days in, all new monkeys, yeah?
Yeah.
Another 10 days in, 14 days in, we're not just new monkeys, but we're just really new monkeys.
Yeah.
There's not even been really chit chat amongst them saying this once upon a time happened, whatever.
Yeah.
Yet that behavior is still there.
Yeah. And we've seen that in history when it comes to religious stuff. Like if you look at the religious history, theology, you look at how people have worshipped throughout the different centuries, and whether it's the different forms of worshipping that people were involved in. That's been narrated by historians and within, religious books. But okay, let's take that as an example. People throughout history, they have been doing the same thing over and over again without questioning it. What leads an individual to question these things? Where does that chain break?
Good question.
If you see life as a race, for you it's about going quick, isn't it? Yeah. If you see life as an adventure, for you it's about experiencing new things. If you see life as a party, it's about having fun. Yeah. I suppose for me, if an individual doesn't know where their life is going, or they don't understand the meaning of their own existence, then they can turn it anywhere they want to, whichever way they want to, have an element of these things in every part of their life. But when they understand that there's a bigger purpose, then these things become trivial. Like designer brands, for example, it's a personal preference. Some people like to wear designer brands. Some people just like to look good wearing whatever they feel is more comfortable. Some can't afford designer brands, some can afford designer brand. But those who can afford, I know
affording, being able to afford or not afford aside, we generally tend to want the same kind of brands, don't we? We know what a designer brand is.
Yeah.
Question, how did that designer brand become a designer brand? Who's to say that's the cream of the crop, or that's, that's the one that you should want?
Well, it's the same reason why people would question, who's to say what's beautiful in life? Who's to say what is beauty?
You're in marketing and stuff. What's the deal with designer brands?
Well,
you know your sales, don't you?
I think there's a sense of exclusivity when it comes to design. Well, the more exclusive something is, basic economics, supply and demand. If you supply less of what you have, the demand increases, then you can increase. So
okay, let's talk about shoes. Yeah,
exclusivity. Yeah.
Example.
Yeah.
There's no way to make a pair of shoes. Well, I suppose you can make it exclusive. You just limit production.
Yeah.
Through no other reason than just wanting to limit production, because you can outsource it to China and they'll make you 1 million or 5 million or whatever.
Yeah.
You only make so many, and the price tag is so high. Is that the gist of it? Is that how to kind of make something?
Well, I suppose, and I think quality would have to go in there. Otherwise, if expensive stuff was of very low quality, there had to be.
I don't think that even applies anymore.
I think to a certain degree.
To a certain degree, yeah, of course, yeah.
Because if they made stuff with very poor quality, and it kind of got wrecked within the first wash,
it would be a short-lived brand, wouldn't it?
But let's extend that to human beings. You've got brands of clothing. What about you got brands of technology? You got brands of vehicles. You got brands of living lifestyles. You've got people themselves which are being branded as what is beautiful and what is not beautiful, right? Now, if you think about that, that's actually very, very dangerous, because it's for these reasons we have an increase in suicide attempts, people who have been bullied, made not to feel as though they deserve to be in a particular community or amongst certain people who of a certain skin complexion could be, facing discrimination of some kind, certain eyes or color of eyes or size of lips or even body, body shaming, all that kind of thing. Recently, there's been a difference. You have
size of lips. Is that?
Yeah, you have people who discriminate against different sizes. People who have certain size of lips.
Actually, that makes sense, because there's that whole kind of. Yeah. Okay.
If you read old poetry, like if you come across Turkish poetry, and the size of somebody's mouth, for example, is kind of described in poetry as being beautiful in inverted commas. In today's day and age, you may not think so. Like, for example, they mentioned like small mouths or thin lips. In certain cultures, those things aren't seen as an attractive thing.
I tell you what, now that you mention it, I've seen a few incidences of where trying to make your lips bigger has gone wrong.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, why would somebody want to make their lips bigger? There's some kind of vacuum procedure or injections and different things. And people have tried this at home, or they've gone to one of these, cosmetic surgery places, and it's gone wrong for them. And I always wondered, why would somebody want to mess with their lips?
Plastic surgery and cosmetics industry is a massive industry.
It is massive, isn't it?
Massive industries. But here's the thing. Why? Why are they such?
And then now
Because the
things
demand
like
is so
finance,
great.
don't they? People are taking out loans to improve parts of their body.
Because the demand is great. The demand is great because of other reasons. What are those reasons? Because A, they've been made to feel unhappy with the way they already are. That's the primary reason. And B, we have a standard by which we need to keep ourselves, aligned with, apparently, right? So you whether you talk about that Coke bottle look for women who aimed for that some years ago, it became a craze. Don't know if that still is. Whether having voluptuous lips is an attractive feature for some cultures. Some cultures.
I am so out of touch. What the heck is a Coke bottle? What did you say?
Google it. Yeah.
Coke bottle
The
shape.
bottle, the shape of a Coke bottle is apparently the ideal shape of a,
Female species, yeah. A woman. Say it, it's fine, it's okay. They won't mind. A couple of comments, let's just catch up.
Go on.
Farzana, sister, says, if you're the person that wants to be that individual that doesn't follow the norm, you may be criticized for a while, but then believe me, the monkeys will do what they criticize you for.
That's a very interesting.
So this is
you're actually
going
leading
against the trend
and leading
to set a trend.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that
as
But
well.
that's, look, in business, all day long, you come out with something that's ingenious, the first one to do it, everyone's trying it. Businesses won't be too quick to support, but once they see that that's popular, everyone follows suit so quick. I mean, we've had it in businesses where we've tried something different and then suddenly everyone's doing it. But in personal life, is that a lot more difficult to do?
Well, it depends on what you're changing and whether the change is a good change or not. Look, here's the thing. If you are wanting to go against the grain within your family, for example, for making changes within the household or within your family which are for the better, right, then surely that's got to be worth exploring, at least thinking about, or entering a discussion for. The problem we have is most people don't even want to enter the discussion because we've been doing it since our forefathers. Who are you to tell us we could do it in a different way or a better way? The concept of change doesn't register.
This is true.
So this is one of the reasons, I guess, in the personal life, if it's something that's going to bring about positive change, of course it's worth discussing, and of course it's worth thinking about.
Yeah, definitely. And I love the idea of breaking the mold, and then being around to see you almost become the mold. You want to break away from the chains and the shackles, and then it's nice to see people follow suit. I guess the only problem is if you become too successful and you're now an influencer and now everyone is doing that.
Yeah.
But the reason that you did it is different. You just wanted to be different. You let's say...
Maybe you found what you were doing restrictive.
Yes.
And your goals and aspirations were elsewhere.
Yeah.
Given, if we think about how students, if you think about how generally Asian families, let's just take Asian families as an example, because we know Asian family makeup's better than any other family makeup, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, there's a certain expectation that you will go and become a professional, you go to university and, that kind of thing. But if you talk about apprenticeship, it's not always looked at in a positive light. You've got to go through some challenges and things.
Yeah.
Why do you want to do that?
Telling our elders or Asians, what do you mean you're not going to university?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're not
What
going
is
to get a
apprenticeship?
degree?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Did you fail?
Yeah. But it could be that they have a completely different idea of life.
Yeah.
Maybe it's arts related. Maybe it's theatre. Maybe it's movie making, right? But if it could be used because generally these are stigmatized kind of roles, aren't they, in our society?
But then are we going to have the same problem? For example, someone has done an apprenticeship for whatever reason. Yeah, let's say they didn't get into college or uni or something, or they just chose that. They did it for the right reasons. They chose that.
Yeah.
They end up at Rolls Royce or what's another big brand, like a really big
Bombardier,
Rolls Royce. Yeah.
Toyota.
They work their way up the ladder and they're really successful. At that time, everybody was still raving about degree. Yeah, university. But now, because of that one individual, everybody is following suit of apprenticeship. That is also a problem, isn't it? It's regardless of which way you go, it should never be about monkey see, monkey do. It's not about following the masses.
This is it.
So that individuality.
Saying that though, it's better to have an alternative option than no alternative options at all. Yeah?
Is that having an alternative option?
Well, it's more than one option, isn't it?
Is it? 10 years ago, it's university. Today, it's apprenticeship. In 10 years' time, it's, I don't know, just getting a job when you're 16.
Yeah.
But when will it be whatever you want to do? You know, everything is about average, on par. Everything is, you know, just as equally recommended.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a time like that.
Will we ever reach a time like that?
I hope so.
Well, we're talking about
so.
education and academic routes, right?
Yeah.
What about generally in life? Will we see a time when people will just do what they feel is the right thing to do without being ostracized?
Yeah.
And, you know, demonized just because they think different, as long as it's there's nothing wrong in what they're doing. Yes. Let's just think about cross-cultural marriages. People marrying out of their own cultures or out of their own, you know, communities. That's still frowned upon by a lot of community members.
Maybe more so our community than other.
I agree, which is wrong.
It's an issue, isn't it?
It's a big issue. So how do you break something like that?
Just go and do it, isn't it? I think probably the best way is
just do it and tell them afterwards.
We're going to go back to a couple of comments here. Russ, thank you for listening in. Is it that we tend to conform socially and economically and attempt to be different on a personal level?
I love Russ's questions. I like his questions.
It's a good question,
he gives some good questions, and he posed some really interesting questions in the last one as well. That's a good question as well. That's definitely
food for thought. That does require a lot of thought.
That really means, basically, I think Russ is asking us, are we different people outside?
Yeah.
And are we different people inside the house?
Yeah.
I think in either case, I don't think we should be monkeys in either case. I think we should be mavericks, and I think we should be disruptive and do different things.
But in some places where it works well,
you just do, you work out what the formula is, and you know, do what works wherever it works. But where if it's not working for you, why conform to it?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. There's never really a right or wrong, but you look at rewards as well.
There's a caveat though. What I would say is, before you break out of those norms, to seek. Have a conversation and seek possibly advice from somebody you respect and that you respect, because there's some things you might feel, I want to break out of this because I don't feel it's right. Somebody can give you guidance, which is why it's important to have people like coaches and mentors in your life, people who you can tap into and ask and have conversations with them. You know, the number of times I've had some really odd conversations with some people who I know is unreal.
Stanislav, freelancers will rule the world.
Go on, Stanislav.
I love that thought.
Stan.
If that's the case, I pray for a world like that. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Zaur, did you know that this fashion brand burns all its unsold bags at the end of every year? LV doesn't want to put their bags on at a lower price. Louis Vuitton, and this goes back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
Exclusivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow,
I didn't know that.
Just give them Sports Direct, man. What's the problem? But then, I suppose for next year, it devalues the brand, doesn't it?
Sure.
This is another interesting.
Wow, that's an interesting step.
I could never afford some of the brands that are in Sports Direct now. Like I did not have Rockports all my years growing up. Recently they landed in Sports Direct. I don't know if they are 80% off, but they say 80% off, and they're like $22.99. I'm like,
did you buy them?
I'm getting. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I don't even know if they're still around or not, but I was like, I'm getting me some
because
Rockports,
you remember
man.
it.
Yeah. That's it. Okay. But I can see why Louis Vuitton wouldn't want to do that. going back to what you said of
Well, you know
keeping it
what?
exclusive.
You're right, but at the same time, there are certain brands which you would be enticed to buy into, right? But there are certain brands which I've boycotted. I'm not going to mention all of them or any. I don't know whether it's even right for me to do that. But
Why not?
there are certain brands which I will boycott for certain reasons. I'll give you the reasons. If they're involved in child labor or slave trade,
Yeah.
I will boycott them as a matter of my principles.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to buy their products. So that'll be one person less from me. If people if brands are seen supporting any political kind of ideology which is detrimental to a people, a nation, I'll give you examples of Palestine, for example, and the West Bank and the land that's been taken out of their hands. You know, those people who are investing in those disputed, it's not even disputed, it's Palestinians' rights on them, right? So those people who are investing money or for businesses to be operational in those lands.
I remember reading about
I will
a
not
soft
buy the
drinks
products.
manufacturer who built a factory on occupied territory.
Yeah, occupied territory. So, you know, those are the kind of things I would avoid buying from certain brands. There are brands out there, there are websites out there where you can check who's doing what. Now, I know there's always going to be a dispute about these things, but it's what makes you feel comfortable at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, you
for
want
me,
to keep it.
It doesn't make me feel comfortable buying, and I won't buy from them.
Reasons, yeah, of course.
Whether it's a food outlet, whether it's you know, some things you just cannot avoid no matter what you do. Even if you buy an old phone, chances are the chip in there is going to be made from one of the companies in the Silicon Valley who had a factory in one of these disputed areas. You can't do anything about that, right?
But where possible,
you do what you can.
It's just as easy enough to get, you know, something that isn't made using child labor or a sweatshop in, you know, one of these places. Khalid is also listening and comments. I am a Bengali who wanted to marry a Pakistani woman, but her family attacked me. And this goes back to...
This is wrong, yes.
Certain cultures, certain communities are,
you know what else
further
comes,
behind on it.
What else comes out of this monkey see, monkey do business is the notion of doing right, not when everybody else is doing it, but even if everybody else is doing wrong, and to do the right thing then.
But here's the thing, finally. Why would... I'm assuming, I don't know Khalid, but I'm assuming 20s, maybe 30s, right? So the people, well, her side of the family, his side of the family, people who'd be unhappy with it, probably about the same age, yeah? What does a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old in today's day, in 2020, know about wanting to marry someone from a neighboring country? Like, why is that such a horrendous thing? It's got to be monkey see, monkey do. There's no other reason for that.
Especially so many years on since the original conflicts. And even when you look at those conflicts, they weren't between the people themselves. You know, it was a completely... So look,
all sorts of
cross-cultural marriages, if there's any issues with people like that, I just think they need their heads checking.
Well, it applies to so many things, doesn't it?
You know what? If you think about it, right? I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and he has a daughter. He said, Majid, let me ask you the question. Because at the time my sister was not married, my younger sister. If your sister wanted to marry somebody who he described like, you know, completely out of our culture and whatnot, what would your thoughts be? And honestly, at the time, I said to him, I'll be fine with it. And honestly, at the time, I know a lot of my family members wouldn't be fine with it. Well, these are
if you were to ask them,
ways
why
of
wouldn't you be? I don't expect them to put up a solid argument.
No.
I don't think they'd know why they wouldn't be fine with it.
They would even say, look, I know it's not wrong, but...
You know, whenever someone starts a sentence with that, technically there's nothing wrong with it.
But
no.
It's that but, isn't it? When you say but in any conversation, you've negated everything preceding it.
I think that doesn't wash nowadays, and it shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Wow, that's really interesting, man.
Khalid, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. But this is it. But at the same time, these things are happening not just with
So that's
cross-cultural marriages.
That's something that's gone over for time
Yeah.
or generations. Let's talk about today's influencers, today's fashion trends, today's trendsetters.
Well, it's the media, isn't it?
It's the media, but then how? How can one person or one channel or one kind of
It's not just
TV
one channel.
show?
Anything that's become popular has people's attention. If something's popular, it means people's attentions are there, right? And then when people look or observe this individual or groups of people, they aspire and they feel that sense of knowing them or belonging. I'll give you an example. I've been watching Ertuğrul, the series, the Turkish drama series.
Nice.
Amazing, right? I've got the hat, I've got the wrist thing going on. I've got, I like the style. We've learned a lot of the part of the language. We've been watching it with kids. Ayvallah,
I haven't started yet.
You got to watch it. See, I've become this because it's that bad. You've got to watch it. I was a guy who'd never watched TV until I watched Ertuğrul. So, just because you are now, so much in awe of a certain character, here's the thing: if you separate the character in the story from the actual actor, then what happens? Now, some people would go so far as to then looking at who is Engin Altan Duzyatan, the actor who plays the role of Ertuğrul. They'll start looking into his lifestyle and, what kind of family he lives. They'll follow his journey then. Yeah.
Okay.
You look at celebrities, and people have a fascination with certain people because of what their achievements are, the way they portray themselves, because of their looks, maybe because of their skills. It could be anything. So
would you say
they then
the
become
entertainment industry? What we thought was the entertainment
is
industry
no longer entertainment alone. They've become product ambassadors. They've become more than just entertainers. They've become influencers.
Exactly what Russ said, just as you said it.
Okay.
Media has become education. Wants have become needs.
Yes.
When did the media, or when did a TV show or a talent show or a comedy show become education? Like that's the way.
When it became more available to watch and in the palm of our hands.
Funny thing just came to mind is I saw a picture of, I don't know if it's One Direction or one of these, Harry Styles. Was he in a boys group or something?
Who's Harry Styles?
Okay. You're safe. Don't look at it.
I don't know.
Anyway, Harry Styles was wearing a costume to one of these awards things, right? When I say costume, I mean just clothes. He had a bright green sweater on. He had a big pearls, necklace, chain, whatever.
Okay.
And some kind of light cream checkered trousers. Now, someone had put a meme of, if your grandma's washing line has been robbed lately, it was probably Harry.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I thought, exactly, if you were to crop his head out and put someone's grandma there, not grandfather, grandmother, it would fit exact. But because he is who he is, not only can he pull that off, he can influence other people to do that too. And how many crazy kind of fashion ideas or trends have come in that exact same way? I mean, we've seen over the years, you've probably seen a few more than I have because you've got a few more years. But we've seen some crazy trends. And they were probably only started by one person or two people, or,
hairstyles, style of clothing, makeup styles, These are all physical things, aren't they? The way people are, the way people look. And yes, they do influence people. The more people have these things in their palm of their hands, you've got Instagram models. People who have a lot of followers. The average Joe blog out there, if they can, produce decent content and get it out there consistently, they'll build a community of their own, and eventually they can become Insta famous.
Well, some of these people that you see now, I'll be honest, I don't even know what they do. I've seen people advertising shampoo. I don't know who they are. I've seen Nicole Scherzinger. What does she do?
Is that a singer?
I don't know, but she's everywhere.
Because she's got the word singer in her name.
But yeah, Scherzinger. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. I've seen her advertise all sorts of different products. Beauty products, food. I think she does yogurts and like different things. Yeah, but the fact is, whether she uses them not in her life or not, I don't know. Yeah, but
you know what the funny thing is? Sorry, do you want to finish that?
No, go on, you go.
I was watching something, and do you know of? There's a really famous YouTuber who reviews tech. His name skipped my mind. MBHD, something like that is abbreviation. Those of you who know that will know. Anyway, this guy, he's very astute, right? He's very popular. He's really good. I like watching his reviews. So he was watching this ad where people were tweeting adverts so that the popular movie stars, you know that lady who came in as Wonder Woman? So there was a Wonder Woman movie.
Woman,
yeah. So she was given a contract to advertise certain brand of phone, right? And she was tweeting out messages about how she likes this phone.
Okay.
This YouTuber spotted in one of her tweets, because in the certain section it shows you what platform you're using to post a tweet, it said something for iPhone. Right? So she was using an iPhone. She got busted.
Yeah.
So, they're getting paid.
Yes. And that's how easy it is
to fool us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you think to yourself, this is what it's come down to, isn't it? We're getting fooled by people, and we think it's real. These people are advertising things which they may never even wear or use
or eat,
because they get paid for it.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? And then we buy into that, or people buy into that because they think, their idol or somebody who they look up to uses this particular product, and they should be using that product as well. So this is the monkey see, monkey do business going on here. It's a lot of monkey business going on, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Look.
So this is all business, isn't it, really?
It's the business. It comes down to what we were talking the other day about having a producer-consumer market.
Is it that easy? Is it that easy? I launch a clothing brand, a T-shirt. I get it made for £1 from Bangladesh or China or whatever, yeah? I get it made for £1.
Yeah.
I want to sell it for £100. I send it free to a few influencers, a few whatever, or I go a step further and I pay someone to wear it. Yeah. Once they're wearing it, now everybody wants it. But the trick is I've only made so many, and I make that known.
Yeah.
That there is only this many.
If you pay enough, you get the right influencer, it could work. In theory.
I remember actually, there was a claims company, and they just so happened to be at an event where there was a very popular Bollywood actor.
Okay, yes.
And they just said, look, here's some cash in a bag.
Yeah.
Just say this line for me.
Yeah.
He didn't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
But a pound note's, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or, and he did. I don't know how long they used that for, but that company blew up. And not only blew up, they were on TV.
Yeah.
And because this person had endorsed it, man's from Mumbai, if he has an accident, he's not getting paid out, Jack.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? He's probably going to get slapped or whatever. But the truth is, people now in the UK are seeing this Bollywood stars say,
and you could tell he's at an event and he's being asked to say something.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah.
But
that's okay, isn't it?
Yes. And that was enough for most people.
That was enough, yeah.
And that differentiated that one company.
So when somebody who is an influencer says something, it becomes more of an authority, whether they are right or wrong.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah.
So authority today is no longer based on credentials, but influence.
Influence, yeah.
Come to the question, when you look at the democratic society, right? Democracy, we're all monkeys in this democracy, right?
Pretty much.
Are all our votes classed the same? Yes,
Equally,
they are.
Yeah.
They're equal in their weight. So those who are educated in a particular discipline will not be worth more votes than somebody who has no education and no experience, and just because they can vote, they can. Do you see where I'm coming from here?
Is that where the system doesn't work then? So I
would say so.
Elections are what, every 4 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years, yeah. I can spend 5 years studying, research, studies, everything, A to Z of someone's campaign, manifesto, everything, yeah? And base my decision on that. This is what's best for the country. But yeah, the opposition can go and give out free cakes in a estate or in town somewhere, and they've got 500 votes. In a minute, it's cost them 20 quid or whatever, yeah? Do you see what I mean?
There are flaws in every system, aren't there? I think this is one of the flaws in this. Going back to the original point, where we're being influenced to do certain things, buy things. Look, it comes to that same saying again, doesn't it? Sometimes we end up buying things we don't need with money which we don't have, get it on loan, to impress people who don't even like us. Yeah, and
very true.
And because we have to keep up with the Joneses, maybe it's that monkey see, monkey do thing again. We have to keep up appearances with.
Is there any argument for people who want to spend ridiculous amounts on accessories? Okay, look.
If it's an investment and they can afford it, don't see anything wrong with it.
Is a handbag ever an investment? Or is a pair of shoes, or...
It depends on what they do with those handbags after they've worn it. Do they actually sell them on? A lot of people say, I bought this as an investment, but they never really do anything with it. They're just on display.
Well, I've seen that with watches. Certain watches do go up in value.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. But for you, it might be a watch. For a lady, it might be a handbag.
Interesting.
I don't know enough about handbags to make any other comment than that.
I can't see.
Maybe somebody who knows enough about handbags
to resell her handbag. Maybe. I don't know.
You can just search on eBay and find out if there are any.
But the thing
handbags.
is, though, if someone who wants to spend that much money on a pair of shoes or a handbag or whatever, they will say, "Look, for me, that's pocket money, that's change." Well, that's 1%. So average person who's 1% would be a fiver and they get a wallet. Someone else's 1% might be £1,000 and they get a wallet. What's made them spend £1,000 and not just a fiver or a tenner? They're getting the same thing, but is it because it makes them feel better? Is there an argument to say...
There's definitely a feel better factor in there. Definitely. Look, if it makes somebody feel better, whether it's
because
their
they've been told, or they've been taught.
Yeah.
Passive education. Yeah. That this is branded, this is expensive, this is got a name written on it.
I've seen people who wear branded clothes, and you know what? Nobody would bat an eyelid. They wouldn't even know.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's subtle branding here and there, whatever, right? But it makes no difference. Someone like me, it makes no difference. I buy stuff which I feel will look good on me or feel good on me.
You're doing this, aren't you? Like fabric, these things.
Rarely. I don't know enough about fabrics either. What I do is I look at fitting. I look at different things, right? I might look at colour. I might look at fitting. I might look at how it feels on me.
Yeah.
Whether it's branded or not, then doesn't come into the equation, unless it's like stupidly expensive. And I'm thinking, well, it's obviously branded, but that's not the reason I won't buy it. It's because I can't justify spending, thousands of. Although I have done in the past, I've bought Hugo Boss suits and spent a few £1,000s on one suit at a time. Those are different times. I feel like I've matured since then. Okay. I don't do that anymore. Shoes. I'm particular about my shoes. I'll probably pay about £100 at least at a time.
Wow.
But that's because my shoes last. Then I know certain brands last. Yeah.
See, I've tried that. My Rockports didn't go down too well. I don't know if it's the way I walk or the way I slide my feet or whatever, but my shoes get worn a lot. Well, I've tried branded shoes.
You're a big guy. You're 6'7", so there's a lot of.
But
vertical force going on.
I generally stick to cheap shoes.
Yeah.
I've tried the odd pair of, for me, like 35, 40 could be like the more expensive stuff. I've tried that, not really any different. So, I don't know, might be more to it.
Yeah, there is definitely more for shoes I've known. I mean, suits, I have loads of suits, but then again, I don't need that many suits at times, anymore.
So for you,
yeah,
safe to say you're not a monkey.
I would like to believe that I'm not. In some instances,
as would everyone, though, isn't it?
Yeah, in some instances, I think it's look. Here's the thing: my principles. I try to derive my principles in life from theological perspective, and when I do that, I try my best to understand the reasoning. Look, a lot of us Muslims. Let's just be frank. A lot of us Muslims are born Muslims. Yeah. We embrace Islam by choice if we look into what we're actually following. And if we do more than just the parrot fashion, monkey see, monkey do stuff.
Okay.
I feel, this was 15 years ago, I kind of questioned everything and I went through that transition. And I, by choice, embraced Islam as my guiding principles and took a more holistic. Before then, I was the guy who bought a brand new car from a showroom. I can't justify it. I was the guy who spent.
What was your reasoning at that time?
At the time, it was to look good, to make me feel good, because it was one of the first cars in the UK. From it was a 350Z.
So
it was exclusivity.
You kind of evolved away from being a monkey almost, isn't it? It was very much.
Yeah. I was very much a monkey, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you find that those marketing ploys, those advertisements, those product placements don't work on you now?
They might do in some instances when I'm not consciously aware of them, but I'd like to believe I've moved past that now.
It's like the Einstein study. Was it Einstein or was it a different professor? The answers have changed.
Yeah,
it's gone a long way, isn't it?
Yeah.
What used to be a subtle product placement or something then into what is now. I mean, now you're right. Consciously, we're probably not even aware of half of it.
Yeah. For me, definitely, the answers have changed.
Did you see Floyd Mayweather drinking a can of Coke in the build-up to the Conor McGregor fight? He carried that can of Coke for I don't know how long, and I don't even know if he was drinking it. He'd just do this every now and again.
Okay. Was it the diet one that he had?
That's clever. It might have been. I thought that's clever.
Product placement.
I cannot see Floyd Mayweather
drinking Coke
at home. I don't think he sits at home and cracks open a can and things. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But credit to him, man.
Yeah.
And here's us thinking, well, it's the diet version, and he's an athlete, and why not?
Yeah.
Makes us feel better.
The diet version is quite a bit more dangerous.
It's worse
in some cases, isn't it? Because of the sweeteners, artificial sweeteners. Look, here's the thing.
Yas seems to think you've put on a little weight during Ramadan. Maybe it's the...
I could have done. It's perception.
We all?
It's the camera. You've got me all self-conscious now, but...
Trying to breathe in, are you? It's okay. let loose, man, let loose. It's all about the beard. Just look up here, you'll be fine.
There's a saying. There was a philosopher called... actually, I'll come back to that in a second. What's coming to mind is there's a reason why we should always think about things other than what seems to be out there as the norm for us. We should think beyond what is the norm, because usually we end up spending a life which is not even true to ourselves.
Yeah.
There was a study done, again, this is something I usually quote, there was a study done in a hospital in America where people went through palliative care or the end of life care, yeah? And the nurse there was asked a question, they did a survey, and they said, look, what's the most common thing people talk about towards the end of their life when they know they're about to die? Because that's important to them, right? What they talk about at that time, there's no flowering around it.
Yeah,
it's important
to
them.
Reflecting,
yeah. And her answer was that the number one thing people say most commonly at the end of their lives is, I wish I'd lived a life true to myself rather than what other people expected of me. What we come to understand is most people, when we're going through life, we end up living a life, and we start to sacrifice some of our own happiness, our own finances, family time, for things which maybe make us look good or look better rather than what we really wanted to do, whether that be financially, whether that be from a social perspective. But these are things which which hold us back from living a truer life to ourselves. And what I was going to say to you at the end, because we're towards the end of the episode now, we've been here an hour. Cooley is a philosopher, not Cooley as in the movie, the Bollywood movie. Hey,
oh, okay.
Cooley! That was a good movie. So Cooley is a philosopher, and he said once that I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am.
Wait, give me a second.
I'm not who you think I am. I'm not who I think I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am who I think you think I am.
True that. That's actually hit the nail on the head. It's so true.
Makes you think, doesn't it? So whether it's product placements, whether it's determining what's beautiful, whether it's buying through your own choices, I think we all have a choice. I think if we move beyond what we're being subconsciously programmed to do to a certain degree, we can live a more fulfilling and happier life if we did things because we wanted to.
Because we want to. See, this is my issue with some of today's trends.
Yeah.
Is that, well, they're posing as liberating freedom of choice, whatever else, modern era. But the thing is, if you're promoting it so much, is it really your choice? Sexual preferences is one. Identifying with certain genders is another. Clothing, food items, for almost all categories of life that we come across on a daily basis now, we're told, you can dress what you want, be what you want, refer to yourself as what you want,
say what you want.
Say what you want. But at the same time, certain things are promoted a hell of a lot more than others. Encouraged.
For me, the Quran explains this in the best way. We look at life in different ways. Like I said, we can look at it as a test or a struggle or a race or a party. But the Quran describes this world as an illusion. That's it. For me, that's enough.
Indeed. That's it.
That's it. I sign off.
Well, there's an illusion. Yeah, I think that's.
So, on that note, we have come to the end of our podcast.
We really have as well.
Yeah.
It's been a very interesting one. I think this one's going to keep me thinking for a while, even after the show.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end up discussing this for a number of days.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, if you enjoyed this, do go onto our Beardos page and do give it a like and follow so we can share more content with you guys. Keep tuned in every Tuesday at 6 o'clock. We hope to keep you entertained at least once a week during this period. And we'll catch up with you when we catch up with you.
Yeah, man. That's our sign off.